Two more wounded after an Afghan soldier goes on a shooting rampage. Officials say the Afghan soldier opened fire on the U.S. service members in eastern Afghanistan in the Aiken district of Nangarhar. Hello and welcome to a brand new hour inside America's News Headquarters. I'm Kelly Wright.
And I'm Julie Banderas. Good afternoon to you. The Taliban now taking responsibility for the attack, boasting one of their own had infiltrated the Afghan army. John Hannity is live from our Mideast Bureau with the very latest. Hi, John.
Yeah, and Julie, this is being called a quote-unquote insider attack. As you mentioned, an Afghan soldier, the Taliban claiming responsibility. This Afghan soldier, again, an insurgent and operative for the Taliban, opening fire on U.S. troops inside this base. Now, take a look again at the map we just showed you. It happened in the Nangarhar province in eastern Afghanistan. That's east of Kabul. It's very close to the Pakistan border. And that's where officials say this Afghan soldier opened fire, basically started spraying the U.S. soldiers with machine gun fire, killing two, wounding two others before that Afghan soldier was killed by return fire. Now, this isn't the first time there's been a so-called green on blue attack. The Taliban, again, claiming responsibility. We'll have much more on this later. Guys, back
All right, John, thank you so much. John Hannity reporting from Israel. Right now, we go to a live event where former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, who survived an assassination attempt, is now speaking at the commissioning of the USS Gabrielle Giffords. Let's listen in.
The USS Gabrielle Giffords is strong and tough, just like her crew. I thought of you in my darkest days. The soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines of the United States of America. We ask so much of you. Despite danger, you say yes. You make me proud, you make America proud. I will never forget this day or the crew of the USS Gabrielle Giffords. Fair winds and following seas. Thank you very much.
All right, so quite a crowd there in response to former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. Just to give you a little bit of background, this is a USS Littoral ship by the USS Navy. It's being dedicated in her honor, named as the USS Gabrielle Giffords. On January 8th, 2011, we were all shocked. The entire world was shocked when Gabrielle Giffords was actually, let's listen in right now before I go into the background of Gabby Giffords. Let's listen.
Especially for being partners with us on this as the sponsor of the USS Gabrielle Giffords. We're so excited for all the years ahead where Gabby and I are going to support the crew and the officers of this amazing Navy ship. And what a great day it is here in the state of Texas and in Galveston County, where I lived for 15 years. I'm so happy to be here. It's really close to NASA, where I worked. I got some NASA colleagues here, some Navy buddies, Merchant Marine Academy, Gabby's former members that she served with in Congress, her colleagues in the state Senate and the state House, and I think even some El Campo tire people are here. So good morning, everybody. You know, I've got to say that I hope the rest of these LCS ships have an easier time following the USS Gabrielle Giffords that I'm going to have following my amazing wife in giving a speech. This is hard for me. And thank you to the U.S. Navy for this fabulous commissioning ceremony. And thank you to Austal USA for building such a great and worthy ship. Thank you very much. You know, this morning we've heard how appropriate it is to name a U.S. Navy warship after a woman possessing the courage and grit of my wife, former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. The characteristics that she exemplifies, like strength, toughness, and resilience are, after all, the same attributes that you'd seek in a warship. Like Gabby, this ship will face down some lethal threats, but it will persevere through that adversity, and it will leave our lesser adversaries in her great giant wake out of the back of this ship. However, those of you who know Gabby best know this. What connects her most to the USS Gabrielle Giffords is not 418 feet of gray metal. It is not her top speed of nearly 50 knots, maybe more than that, but we can't admit it. It's not her shallow draft. It's not her fierce and stealthy construction, nor the 4 engines that let this ship turn on a dime. It's not even Gabby's name that's emblazoned on the back of the hull. It's simply this. It's the crew. The crew, the men and women, and their shared commitment to a value more American than any other. And you know what that is? That is service. It is their service, the men and women behind the stage. It's their service that keep us strong, and it's their service that lets us all sleep safely at night. It was service that led Gabby to Congress. It was service that led her to seek a role on the Armed Services Committee, where she spent countless hours working on behalf of the men and women of our military. Service guided her as a proud Navy spouse. I think the only Navy spouse in Congress at the time. And it was service as a Navy spouse where she supported me from the moment she married me into the day I left the Navy. This value of service connected her to the people of Arizona and to the citizens of our great nation. It's what lies at the heart of our marriage and our commitment to each other. Today, it is what grounds our appreciation for the men and women of the USS Gabrielle Giffords. So to the crew, on behalf of everybody assembled here today, thank you for your service, and know that as long as Gabby and I live, we will be here to support and serve you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Congresswoman Giffords and Captain Kelly.
And there we have it, Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, as well as her husband, Captain Mark Kelly. Captain Mark Kelly giving his wife a very fitting tribute, thanking her for her service to this country, also thanking her for her service to his marriage as a spouse of a Navy captain. And of course, we thank her as well for her service to this country. You recall that it was in January of 2011 that Gabby, who was serving her 3rd term, was a victim of an assassination attempt near Tucson at a Safeway supermarket, where she was publicly greeting people and was shot in that. She survived those injuries, but ultimately, because of those injuries, had to resign from her office as a United States Congresswoman. And today, they're dedicating the U.S. Navy, dedicating a U.S. Navy vessel in her honor, Gabby Giffords. It's now called the USS Gabrielle Giffords. We thank them both for their service to this country. Back now to what's also going on today. President Trump spending this weekend in Bedminster, New Jersey, days after former FBI Director James Comey's damaging testimony on Capitol Hill. The president accuses Comey of lying to Congress about their private conversations. Kristen Fisher joins us live now in Branchburg, New Jersey, with all the very latest. Kristen?
Hey, Kelly. Well, first, a quick update on something happening today. President Trump has been briefed by his National Security Council about what's been going on in Afghanistan. 2 U.S. soldiers killed by an Afghan army soldier. So the president has been briefed on that, and the vice president is actually speaking momentarily in Wisconsin, and he may address this as well, so something to watch out for. And the other big news kind of on the president's horizon this weekend are two big trips that were just announced. On Friday, he's going to be heading to Miami, and then he's also going to be going to Poland in July ahead of the G20 summit. More on that in a moment. But first, all of Washington, all of President Trump's legal team is still fixated on what was said during that Rose Garden ceremony just yesterday. The big outstanding question is, of course, are there tapes, are there recordings of President Trump's private conversations with his then FBI director, James Comey? Here's what he said yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you about that maybe sometime in the very near future.
You seem to be hinting that there are recordings of those conversations.
I'm not hinting anything. I'll tell you about it over a very short period of time.
When is that?
Okay? Okay. Do you have a question here?
When will you tell us about the
Over a
recordings?
fairly short period of time.
Are there tapes, sir?
Oh, you're going to be very disappointed when you hear the answer.
Now, at that press conference, President Trump also said that he was 100% willing to testify under oath to counter what Comey said on Thursday. So the White House clearly gearing up for a fight here, while the president's surrogates outside the White House are continuing to make very pointed attacks against Comey, calling him a liar and a leaker. Listen.
The question that these Republicans should be asking and demand of Jim Comey under oath is, how many times did you leak information? We know publicly now, he said he didn't have the courage to leak it directly, so he leaked it to a law professor. But how many other times did he ever leak information when he was the director of the FBI?
So the other big news out of the White House this weekend is that President Trump will be traveling to Miami next Friday to unveil his administration's policies about Cuba. So the White House really continuing to push forward with some new policy initiatives despite everything that's been going on back in Washington. Kelly.
All right, Kristen Fisher reporting live from Branchburg, New Jersey. Thank you, Kristen.
All right, for more on this, Emily Goodwin joins us now. She is the managing editor of Real Clear Politics. Oh boy, what a week this has been. First of all, let's talk about the complaint, because here's what it's going to take issue with. And that is Comey's revelation that he asked a friend to pass along to a reporter notes that he actually took of his private conversations with the president. Any merit to that?
Well, it's going to be a question of executive privilege, which is what Trump's lawyers have indicated that they're going to be looking into. And that's a fair question. But the question is, did the president invoke executive privilege? And also, does it still apply? Because he's been talking about this. He's been tweeting about it. So it's a little bit of a gray area right now.
What do you make of President Trump's decision to bring in his personal attorney in the very first place?
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
And we know the president really values loyalty. And so maybe he wanted someone who's known him for years and has been through him with various lawsuits and that he trusts and has a better, stronger relationship with.
You know, we got to talk about the Trump team asking for a hearing on the Comey leak. It could go to court. But then you look back at the history of lawsuits before the president became president, because Trump has threatened to sue in the past, and he has followed through, of course. But legal action taken by both the president and by his company, his businesses, had been involved as of 2016, I believe in October, in 3,500 different state and federal lawsuits, which was unprecedented, the most amount of lawsuits that any presidential candidate at the time had ever been involved in. So the question is, how far will Trump go with this, and will it actually reach the courts?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think this is where the existence of those tapes come into question, right? Because if there are tapes and they're released, it'll depend on what they say if we hear them. But if they aren't tapes, then it becomes a he said, and that makes a court case a little more likable.
I would think if I was the lawyer representing the president, his personal attorney, when he was sitting there, addressing those questions from reporters, he would not answer that question. Is there a tape? Do you have a tape? Obviously, his lawyer told him not to say anything. You do not, so of course the reporters were having a field day with the fact that he said, you'll know soon enough. They wouldn't let the question go. When are you going to release? When are you going to tell us if there's a tape? You'll find out soon, but I'm not going to tell you when. That's advice, obviously, he's getting from his lawyer, right?
Absolutely, and whether he answers in a short time or not will soon to be determined. But I think one thing that his White House has to think about is, Democrats are eyeing the 2018 elections, and they're hoping to take back the House. And I've had Democrats tell me if they win, they're going to subpoena the heck out of this White House.
Now, as far as far as we know, Trump didn't exert executive privilege. You just spoke about that.
Right.
Now, if Trump does actually bring legal action, how hard is it going to be for President Trump to claim executive privilege?
It could be really hard because you also have to keep in mind when James Comey released these memos, when he had them leaked, he was a former employee. He wasn't actually directly working for the president at the time. And believe it or not, that kind of changes things. And then there's also cases where executive privilege has been waived when there's a question of legality. And if the president did maybe indicate to James Comey that he should back off the Flynn investigation. So I think it's still a question mark.
So then how strong is this case? Because if, let's say there are no tapes, hypothetically speaking, does that weaken their case? Or does this, because it's a he said, obviously. So
Right.
there needs to be some kind of evidence. If there was no one else in that room and it was just James Comey repeating the information verbally to another person and it was never recorded, there's really no way possible to find out whether this conversation really took place or not. So how critical are these tapes then to this legal case?
They could be very critical because you have to also have to keep in mind these memos that James Comey wrote while FBI director, these FBI memos are considered to be allowed in court cases. So that's also something the Trump team has to think about.
And President Trump did hint at that tweet when he talked about, let's hope that there aren't any audio recordings. It seems that perhaps they do have that in their back pocket. James Comey should be a little frightened by that potential, if that is indeed what happened in that conversation. We will find out.
We'll find out.
As the world turns. All right.
Exactly.
The days of our lives. I don't know. It just reminds me of all the soap operas I used to watch growing up. Emily Goodwin, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kelly.
And we are following breaking developments. Vice President Mike Pence in Milwaukee, Wisconsin today, expected to address the deadly attack in Afghanistan on U.S. soldiers, at least 2 dead. As soon as Vice President Pence speaks, we will be breaking into that live. Right now, you're watching Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker addressing the crowd. We'll have more in a moment.
Access to health care. It's okay that everybody ignores me when I drive. It's fine, because I get a safe driving bonus check every 6 months I'm accident free. Because I don't use my cell phone when I'm driving, even though my family does and leaves me all alone. Here's something else. I don't share it with Mom. I don't. Right, Mom? I have a brand new putter you don't even know about. It's awesome.
Safe driving bonus checks only from Allstate.
Sometimes I leave the seat up on purpose.
Switching to Allstate is worth it.
I'm Thomas, and I quit smoking with Chantix. I was very grateful to have Chantix. At times when I would normally go smoke, I just didn't. It's kind of like, wait a minute, I would normally be running out the door to go grab a cigarette.
Along with support, Chantix Varenicline is proven to help people quit smoking.
Chantix reduced my urge to smoke.
When you try to quit smoking, with or without Chantix, you may have nicotine withdrawal symptoms. Some people had changes in behavior or thinking, aggression, hostility, agitation, depressed mood, or suicidal thoughts or actions with Chantix. Serious side effects may include seizures, new or worse heart or blood vessel problems, sleepwalking, or allergic and skin reactions, which can be life-threatening. Stop Chantix and get help right away if you have any of these. Tell your healthcare provider if you've had depression or other mental health problems. Decrease alcohol use while taking Chantix. Use caution when driving or operating machinery. The most common side effect is nausea.
Thank you, Chantix.
Ask your doctor if Chantix is right for you. Many insurance plans cover Chantix for a low or $0 copay.
America is now making history, but not in the way we ever intended. We are now over $19.5 trillion in debt. Entirely unacceptable. Hi, I'm William Devane, and we are now in more debt than we've ever been. And paying this down anytime soon looks pretty grim, which is why I protect my assets and buy gold from Roslyn Capital. Whether you want new or old gold coins or premium collector coins, Roslyn has them all. Plus, what you order is what you get. No gimmicks, no nonsense, no hassle. And they still have the fastest shipping around. So if you're concerned about this, protect yourself with this. Buy gold and silver from Roslyn Capital.
Call now and get a free gold kit, including coins only available from Roslyn Capital, a free silver kit, and a free IRA kit. Call 800-630-8900, 800-630-8900, 800-630-8900. Life after the Comey testimony. What to do now? Plus, Greg weighs in on stressed celebs gaining the Trump 10. Tonight on The Greg Gutfeld Show.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
What if you could lose fat in just a few hours?
I don't know what to say. I'm just in shock.
You can with Sono Bello.
It seems no matter how much you work out or diet, there are parts of your body that just don't seem to change.
I went to the gym, I worked out at home, I bought videos.
No matter what I did, that bulge was still there.
With its advanced micro-laser technology,
Sono Bello gently removes that targeted fat and shapes your body for life-changing results.
with over 100 board-certified plastic surgeons, Sono Bello is the largest and most experienced group practice in the U.S.
Seeing ain't believing. I don't know what is.
After 5 years trying to get rid of that roll of fat, Sono Bello did it in one day.
Call for your free no-obligation consultation today and get $250 off your Sono Bello body.
Payment plans are available.
Call 888-317-1425 or go to sonobello.com.
And we are watching the Vice President Mike Pence there, who is about to speak. He's meeting with Wisconsin Governor Walker, talking to Direct Supply CEO Bob Walker and employees of Direct Supply and local business owners there in Milwaukee. He also intends on addressing the 2 soldiers and 2 soldiers killed and 2 injured in Afghanistan. Let's listen.
Hello, Wisconsin. It is great to be back. Great to be back with you all and back with my friend, Governor Scott Walker. More on him in a moment. Before I begin, though, allow me to take a moment to acknowledge what I learned about on my way here to Wisconsin today, the loss of American service members that took place in Afghanistan. On my way here, I was informed that U.S. service members were killed and wounded in an attack in Afghanistan. The President and I have been briefed. The details of this attack will be forthcoming. But suffice it to say, when heroes fall, Americans grieve, and our thoughts and prayers are with the families of these American heroes. It is great to be back in the Badger State. Thank you all for the warm welcome. And I bring greetings today from my friend, the man that Wisconsin voted overwhelmingly to make the 45th President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump. Now, the President asked me to be here today. Thank the good people of Wisconsin not only for that decisive victory, but also to assure you that the Badger State has a friend in the White House. You'll hear that firsthand when President Trump comes to Wisconsin on this coming Tuesday. And I know you're all looking forward to it. Folks, in President Donald Trump, you elected a fighter and a winner. And he will never stop fighting for the American people and his agenda to make America great again. I promise you that. But you all know about fighters, because that's also a pretty good description of the man who just gave me that very kind introduction. You know, I've met quite a few governors over the years. I've even had the privilege to be one myself in the state of Indiana. So let me just say, I mean it from my heart when I tell you, Governor Scott Walker is one of the best governors in the history of this state and in the history of this country. Would you all mind getting on your feet and giving a rousing round of applause to Governor Scott Walker for the leadership that he provides every day? Let me also thank 2 more distinguished Wisconsin public servants who are here today. I had the opportunity to serve with the first one in Washington, D.C. for all of my 12 years in the Congress. And I know full well that in Washington, D.C., there is no greater stalwart for conservative principles and values than Congressman Jim Sensenbrenner. Congressman, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for that. So well deserved. And also, I'm so honored to be joined by another principled leader who fights for Wisconsin and fights for conservative values every day, Congressman Glenn Grothman. Thank you so much for being with us today. You know, President Trump and I couldn't be more grateful for the support of both of these leaders in the Congress of the United States. Well, let me also thank our host today, Bob Hillis, and the whole team here at Direct Supply for welcoming us to this extraordinary campus and this extraordinary American success story. You know, it's been 30 plus years you've built everything that matters, Bob. A good name, a strong and prosperous company that has made this community and made this state better for it. Direct Supply is a true American success story, and that round of applause was so well deserved. You know, I like to say that President Trump has a three-part agenda for this.
And there you have the Vice President, Mike Pence, now 3 weekends in a row, in fact, coming out and speaking to here employees, but of course addressing the very important and breaking news and very sad news today. News, in fact, that the Vice President said he actually got received on his way to this event there in Milwaukee, that 2 U.S. soldiers were killed by 2 Afghan soldiers and 2 other soldiers injured. Our hearts, our prayers go out to their families as they receive the most heartbreaking news of their lives today. We'll, of course, continue to watch this and monitor the situation in Afghanistan right here on Fox.
All right, Julie, thank you for that. Fallout now from the UK election continues with 2 top aides for British Prime Minister Theresa May stepping down. May's Conservative Party taking a huge hit in the election on Thursday and losing its majority in Parliament. What does that mean? Well, the results casting a shadow of uncertainty on the Brexit process, for one, just days before the start of negotiations. Joining me now is Joe Twyman, Head of Political and Social Research for Europe at U-Gov. Thanks for joining us, Joe. What do you make of all of this? It's a shock to Theresa May. It's a shock to the majority party there in the Parliament. What happens now?
Well, no one's really sure what happens now, and that's the reason for the uncertainty. Theresa May called this election 7 weeks ago now in order to achieve a larger majority to strengthen her position when going into the Brexit negotiations that start in only 9 days' time. Unfortunately, things didn't work out for her. Her campaign was not particularly strong, and she faltered on a number of key issues.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm going to ask you, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to make sure we get as much of this as we possibly can. Where do you think she went wrong during her campaign?
Well, we're still crunching the numbers on that, but what's clear from the early indications are that she never really was able to maintain momentum. She concentrated on this idea of strong and stable. That was her phrase, repeated again and again. And unfortunately, during the campaign, she then had to make a U-turn, change her mind on a specific policy, which is unheard of during a British general election campaign. And she never really convinced the public to the degree that was needed, and so strong and stable became weak and wobbly, as the papers in this country dubbed it. In contrast to that, Jeremy Corbyn, her opponent from the Labour Party, among his supporters presented himself as representing hope, representing change, and representing positivity. Theresa May never really had a positive message to put across.
Well, Joe, one thing I want to ask, though, is how does this impact Brexit? I asked you that earlier, and you were saying no one knows at this point. Is it really an uncertainty at this point?
Well, firstly, we're not really sure who will be the leader of the government and indeed the Conservative Party to take these Brexit negotiations forward. Theresa May is staying on for now, but her authority within her own party and also more widely within the whole country has really been compromised. And so precisely how she moves forward is unclear. Does she resign sooner rather than later, or ahead of the party conference in the fall? And then if someone new takes over, how will Europe respond to that, given that they only have a very, very small margin of error when it comes to negotiating with their own party on the deal?
Before I let you go, I've got to go back to this. Throughout the campaign, no one had been talking about terror and the possibility of terror attacks, and yet we saw what happened in Manchester several weeks ago, and then most recently, of course, in London last week. So did any of this have an effect or an impact on the elections, particularly since the candidates themselves had not really discussed this?
Well, on May 30th, YouGov released a simulation of seat estimates based on some new data science we'd been working on that indicated that a hung parliament was likely. Now, that wasn't very widely believed at the time, although a bit more people are believing us now. What's interesting about that is that it was updated every single day after that, including through the period when the second attack took place in London. It didn't change, and so the data that we have indicates that no, this did not have an impact on the end result.
All right, Joe, we got to go, but thanks for joining us today. Joe Twyman, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Former FBI Director James Comey admitting he helped leak memos to the media after being fired. And now congressional investigators are looking to get their hands on those memos and what they hope to uncover. Next.
I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting, and so I thought it really important to document.
That's right, keep rocking. SiriusXM's free listening event might be over, but you can turn us back on with packages starting for a limited time at just $5.99 a month plus fees. Just visit SiriusXM.com/GetSXM to keep hearing all the things that make you love taking the long way home. So visit SiriusXM.com/GetSXM or call 1-844-479-6669 to turn us back on and up.
Veterans have a lot in common. We've proudly served our country, and now we're proudly serving our families. Sometimes that can lead to credit card debt. Big credit card balances can add up over time. And now, just making the minimum payment can break the family budget. Sound familiar? New Day USA can help. Their New Day 100 Home Loan for Veterans lets you refinance your mortgage and consolidate your credit card debt. Get cash and lower your payment an average of $640 a month. Total picture, not just your credit score. Take control of your credit card debt. Call New Day USA and get the financial peace of mind that you and your family deserve.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-855-719-8163.
Take on the mainstream in Nissan's Midnight Edition. Available now at America's best sales event.
I'm Phil Mickelson, pro golfer.
I'm Karen. I'm a teacher.
My psoriatic arthritis caused joint pain.
Just like my moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis.
And I was worried about
joint damage. My doctor said joint pain from RA can be a sign of existing joint damage that can only get worse. He prescribed Enbrel to help relieve pain and help stop further damage.
Enbrel may lower your ability to fight infections. Serious, sometimes fatal events including infections, tuberculosis, lymphoma, other cancers, nervous system and blood disorders, and allergic reactions have occurred. Tell your doctor if you've been someplace where fungal infections are common, or if you're prone to infections, have cuts or sores, have had hepatitis B, have been treated for heart failure, or if you have persistent fever, bruising, bleeding, or paleness. Don't start Enbrel if you have an infection like the flu.
joint pain and damage.
Can go side by side.
Ask how Enbrel can help relieve joint pain and help stop joint damage.
Enbrel, FDA approved for 18 years.
Let's go.
We're not coming out.
I got this. Guys, I know being a first-time homeowner is scary, but you don't have to do this.
What if a tree falls on our garage? What if a tornado rips off our roof?
You're covered, and you bundled your home and auto insurance, so you're saving a ton. Come on, you don't want to start your new life in a dirty old truck. Oh, sorry. You're safe. You're safe now.
Can you stop using the bullhorn?
I don't make the rules.
To find your ideal hotel, just go to Trivago, type in where you want to go, select your check-in and check-out dates, and search. Remember, Trivago shows you all the different prices for the exact same room. Hotel Trivago.
Congressional investigators now demanding former FBI Director James Comey turn over memos recounting his private conversations with President Donald Trump. Lawmakers also requesting the White House produce any tapes of those talks, a prospect the president first hinted at after Comey's firing last month. Garrett Tenney joins us live now in Washington with more details. Garrett?
Well, Kelly, we've known about these memos for almost a month now. They've been reported on in the New York Times, shared with the special counsel Robert Mueller's team, and talked about extensively during Thursday's hearing. But so far, congressional investigators have not been able to get copies to look at for themselves, and they are not happy about it. Here's Republican Senator Susan Collins, who sits on the Senate Intelligence Committee.
Writing in his private journal at home at night. He produced the memos on FBI computers, in an FBI car. He started writing one, and they are FBI documents and thus government work product. They are not his private papers.
Thanks to a question by Collins during Thursday's hearing, we learned that Como shared at least one of those memos with a friend, law professor Dan Richmond, in order for it to be leaked to a reporter, and that he may still have a copy of that memo. The heads of the Senate Judiciary Committee have now reached out to Richmond to request copies of all the memos that he has. And in a statement, the committee also laid out its own frustrations, saying in part, the senators had previously requested copies of the memos from the FBI and from Comey directly. Comey refused to cooperate at the time, and yesterday he testified that he no longer has copies of the memos. The FBI has thus far not provided the memos to the committee, and Comey has declined an invitation to testify before the Judiciary Committee. The heads of the House Intelligence Committee have also now reached out to both James Comey for copies of his memos and to the White House counsel, Don McGahn, for any records the White House has of the meetings, including any recordings of those conversations. That is, of course, if they exist. Kelly?
All right, Garrett Tenney reporting live from Washington. Thank you.
You got it.
All right, for more on this, let's bring in Bill Gavin, former assistant director of the FBI in New York, and former chief executive for the FBI in New York, Miami, and Denver. Bill, thank you so much for talking to us. All right, let's talk about this case, because now that the president has hired his own personal attorney, something that you don't often see in the White House, it just brings it to a whole new level. And you know his lawyers are sitting back while he's holding news conferences talking about this legal matter. And typically when you're involved in a legal case, as a client, you don't hold news conferences. What do you think is going through the mind of President Trump's attorneys?
I want to say that after yesterday's news conference, when the president, in fact, said he would 100% stand up and be sworn in and testify under oath, the noise you heard in the background was his attorney sucking the oxygen out of the air. They were never going to let that happen if he listens to them. And that's a big if, Julie, because that hasn't been the history of what's gone on. People try to counsel him. We all voted for him for some great reasons, for immigration, for tax reform, for health care reform, for infrastructure. He needs to get to that and stop getting waylaid by the vignettes of the theater that go on in some of these hearings.
Yeah.
One thing I would say too, you got to be real careful. If you said you'll be sworn in, you better be careful nobody subpoenas you to do that, because then you're kind of in a bind too. And remember, there's only one person so far in this whole odyssey that has put their hand straight up in the air and sworn to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, and that's Jim Comey. So, I have to say, he knows the consequences of lying under oath. His prosecution probably, he's not lying under oath. So it's a real difficult situation that everybody's in right now.
What are lawmakers looking to find in these memos?
I think the lawmakers are looking to find if there's any more information other than what came out in the newspapers. But I want to say that if there was additional information in these memos, they'd be there. Now, I heard one of the senators say that the memos belong to the federal government because he used a federal type. If you use a federal pen and wrote it on a piece of paper, does that belong to the federal government? I think that's a little bit of nonsense. That if he doesn't have anything classified in those memos, they belong to him, and he can do whatever he wants with them. The other side of the coin is, I hear the president's attorney saying they're going to bring this to the United States government. They're going to bring it to the Inspector General. Jim Comey is a civilian. He's no longer bound by anything within the federal government. They can't do anything to him in terms of the Inspector General looking at what he's done since he's been a civilian. So I just wish we could get back to normalcy and address the concerns of the country that the president was voted to do, and everybody voted for him to do it. I wish it would get back to that and we'd stop this nonsense.
I think a lot of Americans would agree with you. It's time to get back to the issues. Enough of the drama. Bill Gavin, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Julia, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Fox News alert right now, and it's grim. Fox News confirming that 3 Army Rangers were killed today in Afghanistan. That word coming from a senior U.S. military official. A 4th Ranger was wounded. Military officials are expected to issue a statement soon. There have been reports that Afghan soldiers were behind the attack, but so far that is unconfirmed. We're following the story and we'll bring you breaking developments as they unfold.
Very sad news today.
Yes.
Former FBI Director James Comey's dramatic testimony this week sparking an outcry of reaction. But how did the media handle all the coverage? We're going to discuss fair and balanced straight ahead.
This lovely lady has a typical airline credit card, so she only earns double miles on purchases she makes from that airline. Would you earn double miles on, please? Oh. It's unfortunate. There's a better option. The Capital One Venture Card. With Venture, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase, everywhere, every day. Not just airline purchases. Seems like a no-brainer. What's in your wallet?
80% of recurrent ischemic strokes could be prevented with the right steps.
And take it from me, every step counts.
A Bayer aspirin regimen is one of those steps in helping prevent another stroke. Be sure to talk to your doctor before you begin an aspirin regimen.
ProPlan Brightmind Adult 7 Plus promotes alertness and mental sharpness in dogs 7 and older.
The difference has been incredible. She's much more aware. She wants to learn things.
Purina ProPlan Brightmind, nutrition that performs.
Dear Predictable, there's no other way to say this. It's over. I found a permanent escape from monotony. Together we are perfectly balanced. Our senses awake. Our hearts racing as one. I know this is sudden, but they say if you love something, set it free. See you around, Julia.
If you love your dad, give him a meal that he'll truly appreciate. The Omaha Steaks Father's Day gift is filled with over $200 worth of great food for just $59.99. That's 70% off only on this special offer. The Omaha Steaks Father's Day gift includes either Omaha Steaks 4 juicy, tender 6-ounce filet mignons or a huge 30-ounce T-bone steak. Plus, you'll get 4 gourmet jumbo franks, 4 premium ground beef sliders, 4 creamy potatoes au gratin, and Omaha Steaks signature steak seasoning. Dessert is a decadent 2-pound New York cheesecake. Your order will be delivered straight to your home or the destination of your choice for the perfect gift. As a special thanks from us to you, if you order right now, we'll include 4 more premium Omaha Steaks ground beef sliders free. That's 8 total. The Omaha Steaks Father's Day gift, over a $200 value for just $59.99. Give Dad a gift he can appreciate. Give him the Father's Day gift from Omaha Steaks today.
TrueCar is great for finding new cars. You're smart, you already knew that. But it's also great for finding the perfect used car. You'll see what a fair price is, and you can connect with a TrueCar certified dealer. Now you're even smarter. This is TrueCar.
You don't let anything keep you sidelined. That's why you drink Ensure with 9 grams of protein and 26 vitamins and minerals. For the strength and energy to get back to doing what you love. Ensure, always be you.
Do you know which investment could be your best performer this year? Stocks, real estate, bonds? None of the above. It's silver. This year, it's already up over 12%, and many experts say silver is set to soar to new record highs.
I think silver's going to $200 an ounce.
Call now to get this free report, The Case for $200 Silver, and learn about silver's huge upside potential.
If I could only invest in one thing,
it'd be silver. Silver is running out. It's in short supply. It is one of the greatest investments you could have right now.
Call Lear Capital for your free report, The Case for $200 Silver. See why silver could skyrocket 50% this year, why financial experts and investment banks are hoarding silver at today's low price, and how silver can help protect your savings from global turmoil. Call today and get up to $600 in free silver. This offer ends soon. Call 1-800-927-2400. 1-800-927-2400.
Time for some headlines for you here. Anti-Sharia law protests held in more than 24 cities across the country. Organizers say Islamic law poses a threat to American freedoms, but critics say the protests are anti-Muslim. A driver in Florida catching the moment a tanker truck exploded, as you can see there, taken on his cell phone on a busy highway near Tampa. The 69-year-old driver of the truck is in critical condition. It's not clear what caused the crash. And TV's Batman, Adam West, has died. His family issuing a statement earlier today saying he died after a fight with leukemia. He was 88 years old.
Washington still reeling from former FBI Director Jim Comey's dramatic testimony on Capitol Hill, and so is the media. Fox's Sean Hannity pointing out that Comey testified that many recent news stories about the president and Russia are just, quote, dead wrong, meaning the mainstream media is facing a massive credibility crisis over this. Joining us now to discuss it is Alona Minkowski, a political writer for the Daily Banter and former host of HuffPost Live. Also with us is Tammy Bruce, a radio talk show host and Fox News contributor. Tammy and Alona, this has gotten so out of control that many people are saying, what the heck is going on? Who do we trust? Is it fake news or is it real news? Alona, we'll begin with you. What do you make of all of this in terms of how the media has been covering this and Jim Comey dropping a bomb on them saying it wasn't real?
I think there's a couple lessons that we can glean from it, which is one, no matter what the news organization is that's reporting any news, if it's based on anonymous sourcing, you always have to take it with a grain of salt, you know, and that is just a standard rule that applies if you are a news consumer. And I think that we also need to realize that Jim Comey knows how to play to a specific audience, right? And he's somebody who is a smooth operator, and he knew how to give everybody a little bit of something that they wanted to hear yesterday. And so people are latching onto whatever it is that they want. We can be talking about the media and the credibility crisis here, or we can be talking about President Donald Trump and whether or not he is somebody who has a credibility crisis in the eyes of the former FBI director as a president who has integrity and whether or not he has the trust of those people who work for him.
Tammy, as you know, those who support President Donald Trump are infuriated with the media right now, so much so that they're attacking everybody who has anything to say that might be true in terms of asking a legitimate question about the presidency and how he should or should not respond and react to Jim Comey. What are you hearing out there from Trump supporters?
Well, I think that the problem is not recent, of course. It's not new. This has been an issue for years when it comes to whether or not you can trust the media. A few years ago, the media's approval rating via, I think it was Gallup, was below that of cockroaches. So the American people overall have not been happy, but because we remember an age when you could, in a way, trust a report, like with Watergate and Woodward and Bernstein, when you had anonymous sources, and you believe that those people had everyone's best interest in mind. But the problem with Comey in particular, the report that he said was dead wrong and said was mostly false was the foundational report from the New York Times that set the message and set the foundation for all the other reports about Russian-Trump collusion. So when everyone else is using a report that is wrong, that becomes the issue. The other issue is with CNN just a few days before saying that Comey was going to deny that he told Trump that he was not under investigation and that sources told them that. They had to issue a correction because the opposite was true. This is happening in real time, confirming individuals' distrust of the agenda of the media.
All right, real quickly, how do we repair the breach? All of us in the media. Alona?
I think that we need to just slow down and kind of cool our engines a little bit. As someone who is a Russian American, I've been writing a lot about this and saying that I think that people are getting carried away in their zeal to try to find something on President Trump. And I think that there are legitimate questions here about this administration. We also tend to not wait until we get all the facts, and people tend to jump to conclusions before they're there.
You're not going to have people jumping the gun. It's a professional decision that you make, or as many assert about the legacy media, that they've deliberately set their lot in with one party, have an agenda that is separate from informing the American people because they believe they have sole possession of the truth. And that's a problem each individual has to deal with.
Well, just to add to that really quickly, we need transparency from this administration.
Very good.
That's all I'd like to say.
All right. It's very good on all sides, and I like what you said about Fox News. Let's continue to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Tammy and Alona, thank you very much for your perspective.
Thank you.
All right, well, President Trump's decision to leave the Paris Climate Agreement, putting him at odds with some American politicians, and now one state in particular, is going head-to-head with the White House. More next.
It's just a burst pipe. I can fix it.
No.
With Claim Rate Guard, your rates won't go up just because of a claim.
I totally could have.
Switching to Allstate is worth it.
This is an urgent message from the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. There is an emergency food crisis for elderly Holocaust survivors in the former Soviet Union. These people live on pensions so small they must daily decide between buying bread or firewood to keep warm. For just $45, we'll rush an emergency survival package to help one desperate elderly person for a month. Call right now.
Call 800-477-5100.
In Ukraine, there's no support network. They don't have food cards or neighbors that come in to help. They're turning to us because they have nowhere else to turn.
God promises to bless those who bless Israel. May you be blessed as you bless his children.
Sarah is confident. Destroy. But when it comes to mortgages, she's less confident. Fortunately, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently.
The Qatar crisis. What does it mean for U.S. security? Maria's expert weighs in. Then, Comey's media call out. How he says they covered Russia all wrong on Media Buzz.
The sun used to make our outdoor deck and patio space so hot and uncomfortable we couldn't use it.
But then we discovered the Sunsetter retractable awning. Our Sunsetter retractable awning opens and closes in just 60 seconds. It keeps our patio about 20 degrees cooler.
It provides instant shade and instant protection from the sun's harmful rays.
And our Sunsetter costs under $700.
But now you can get your Sunsetter for as little as $599 when you call now to get this special $200 discount certificate and free awning idea kit.
We love our Sunsetter retractable awning, and you're going to love yours too.
Sunsetter awnings are assembled in America and guaranteed to last for years. So call now to get this free awning idea kit with DVD, plus your $200 Sunsetter discount certificate.
But this is a limited time offer.
Call now.
Call now for your free awning idea kit with DVD and $200 discount certificate. There's no obligation.
Millions of shoppers have discovered an exciting new way to save up to 80% on name brand products with Top Hatter, the fastest online marketplace where you get the deals instantly and the bidding is free. But you gotta be quick to score deals like these. A Michael Kors handbag for just $35, this sterling silver ring for just $7, or these Beats headphones for just $65. And every 90 seconds, there's a new bargain to discover. So don't miss out. Go to tophatter.com or download the app today.
It's time for family gatherings, to stretch imaginations, to get together, or find some alone time. It's time for a Four Seasons sunroom that lets you have it all for less money than you thought. Right now, for a limited time, all Four Seasons sunrooms are up to 25% off, with no money down and no interest for 12 months. Call 1-800-4SEASONS today. Four Seasons. It's time.
President Trump meeting some pushback on his decision to exit the Paris climate agreement. And some of the resistance is coming from U.S. leaders, especially in California. Anita Vogel is live from Los Angeles with the very latest there. Hi, Anita.
Well, hi there, Julie. It's certainly no secret Governor Jerry Brown and President Trump are on opposite ends of the spectrum on just about every issue. And when it comes to climate, Jerry Brown is now taking his resistance global. Just yesterday in San Francisco, Governor Brown met with Germany's Minister of the Environment to announce a joint goal to cut emissions by at least 80% below 1990 levels by the year 2050. They both say it's a direct response to the president's decision to withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord.